but he has in fact to date released 3.5 million Epstein files, which is the single largest declassification in American history, and it's not even really close.
Why did he do that? Did he want to?
He did it.
Oh, but did he want to? Did he try to stop it?
Well, he released some files along the way,
but
he arrested
did he
Jeffrey
try to
Epstein.
Stop it?
He redacted some of the files, and he opposed the release of all of them,
then he was calling
some of which is child pornography.
And he was calling up Republicans telling them not to vote. But if he wanted the files to come out, why was he telling Lauren Boebert not to do it?
In today's video, Harry Sisson destroys Michael Knowles on the Michael Knowles Show. Whether you're talking about government transparency, how immigration laws are enforced, or even how political violence gets discussed, there's a real question of consistency, and that's where things start to fall apart on the other side. We've seen over the past few years that investigations, whether it's DOJ decisions, high-profile cases, or policy rollouts, don't exist in a vacuum. Public trust depends on whether people believe the rules are being applied evenly, and when that trust drops, everything else gets louder, especially debates like this. But before we dive into today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one.
He never wanted the files to come out when there was the discharge petition. He was calling up Lauren Boebert and all the Republicans and telling them, don't put your name on it. And he was threatening them, essentially, and that's even what Lauren Boebert said. She's still in Congress. She's still in his good graces. And even when the files are out, it's kind of been a trickle, right? We've had some, and then some, and then some. And even the files we've all seen now, which they're claiming, all of them, they're not. Some redactions are there that make me a little nervous, make me uncomfortable, and I think they should unredact everything that they can within the law. But there's emails out there where they're pretty clearly talking about committing crimes, and it's still redacted. I think the American people deserve to know who those names are. And I think Donald Trump should have to answer for his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, which goes much deeper than I think the right likes to let on. You disagree? I'll talk to you. We'll have a conversation.
Okay, so your claim really has two claims.
Sure.
The first is that Trump has covered up the Epstein files, and then the second claim is that that is the worst scandal in American history.
It's one of the worst, yeah.
One of the worst, sure. Okay. I think you are impressively wrong on both counts.
I'd love to hear it.
The first being the fact that Trump not only has not covered up the Epstein files, but he has in fact to date released 3.5 million Epstein files, which is the single largest declassification in American history, and it's not even really close.
Why did he do that? Did he want to?
He did it.
Oh, but did he want to? Did he try to stop it?
Well, he released some files along the way,
but
he arrested Jeffrey Epstein.
Did he try to stop it?
He redacted some of the files, and he opposed the release of all of them,
and then he was calling
some of which is child pornography.
And he was calling up Republicans telling them not to vote. But if he wanted the files to come out, why was he telling Lauren Boebert not to do it?
The claim that you made is that Trump covered up the Epstein files.
That's part of my claim. That's part of the cover-up, right? Calling members...
That is your claim.
Yeah, right. So him calling up members of Congress, telling them not to release the files, not to vote to release the files.
We have to establish the first fact before we get to the second.
Sure.
The first fact is you're claiming he covered up the Epstein files,
yes.
But then you are admitting that Trump not only released all of those Epstein files, Joe Biden didn't release a single Epstein file.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Donald Trump released 3.5 million of them, which is the single largest release of classified information in American history.
If you're attempting a cover-up, that's still a cover-up, right? So Donald Trump just failed. He got pressured by the law and Congress, but he still tried to cover them up. Don't you think that him calling Lauren Boebert, telling her not to put her name on the discharge petition is concerning?
Well, I actually do agree that not all of those files should be released. I think some of that is a little bit reckless. I think it undermines certain principles of American justice, like innocent until proven guilty. I think a lot of those claims have been debunked, which we saw in the files. And I think some of it is actually child sexual abuse material, which obviously should not be released.
But we know that there are still more documents out there.
Like
no. Aside from
should not be released, and some claims that have been disproven, even in courts, even by judges. So obviously, those names shouldn't be released. Nevertheless, on the first point, there is no arguing. It is the largest release ever in American history, therefore he didn't cover it up. To the second point, that if it were true that he had done the opposite of what he actually did, would that be one of the worst scandals in American history? And I can think of a few others. I'll try to go through them quickly.
Now, yes, a large number of documents were released, but volume doesn't equal full transparency. We've seen this pattern before in US history where governments release a lot of information, but still keep the most sensitive details redacted or delayed. The JFK assassination files are a perfect example. Decades later, thousands of documents were released, but key portions are still withheld or heavily redacted. So the idea that we released a lot, therefore nothing is being hidden, just doesn't hold up historically. And the redactions matter. In cases involving organized abuse or trafficking networks, names, connections, and communications are often the most critical parts. Without those, you're left with fragments of a story instead of the full picture. Even the DOJ has acknowledged in past cases that networks like Epstein's weren't isolated. They involved multiple people across different industries. So naturally, people are going to question why certain details are still missing. There's also a political reality here. Bipartisan pressure is usually what forces more disclosures in cases like this. That's happened with everything from intelligence reports to corporate scandals. Information tends to come out not because leaders willingly offer it, but because there's legal or public pressure building. So skepticism about motives isn't unreasonable. It's actually consistent with how these things typically play out. And finally, public trust is already low when it comes to institutions handling high-profile cases. Polling over the years has shown that a majority of Americans across parties believe powerful individuals often avoid accountability. So when people see partial releases, redactions, and conflicting narratives, it reinforces that concern instead of resolving it. So this isn't just about whether documents were released. It's about whether the full truth is being made available. And history shows that we gave you a lot isn't always the same as we gave you everything.
Aaron Burr, former vice president of the United States, tried to establish a brand new country in America. That seems to me like a bigger scandal. Teapot Dome, do you remember that one from social studies? Teapot Dome, where the Secretary of the Interior went to jail because he took bribes to sell Navy oil. I'm thinking of another one more recent. Let's say
Trump stealing classified documents might be.
Which classified documents?
Trump stealing classified documents.
Oh, hold on. The documents that he stored at a lower degree and less egregious ways than Joe Biden, where he had them next to his crackhead son.
Robert Hur found no intent on Joe Biden's behalf.
It's not one of the worst. But just a couple others that come to mind. A few others come to mind. U.S. Grant, 100 people went to jail over a scandal that also implicated his private secretary. That's probably a bigger scandal. Bill Clinton using his intern as a human humidor in the Oval Office and then perjuring himself about it. I think that's a bigger scandal. And then
what about Trump actually assaulting women?
Hold on, we'll get to that in 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
The last scandal I'll mention is when a sitting Democrat senator drunk drove his mistress into a pond and then left her there to drown and remained the lion of the Senate. I think all of those and many others are much bigger than the supposed scandal of Trump not declassifying the Epstein documents, which he would have been well within his rights to do. I actually might have favored some of that, but regardless, he didn't do it because he declassified 3.5 million.
So everything you just mentioned in terms of scandals, I agree that those are bad. That's why I said it's one of the worst scandals.
Not worse than President Trump hypothetically not releasing criminal information?
We're talking about rich, powerful men connected to the government, connected internationally, abusing children, trafficking children. I think that's a pretty bad scandal. And I think covering that up and protecting the men who did it is a bad scandal. What?
Which he obviously didn't do.
What? Donald Trump not protecting them?
He didn't cover it up.
So we just found an email in the Epstein files of somebody, their name is redacted, we don't know who it is. It's sent to Jeffrey Epstein, saying, last night was fun, your littlest girl was a little naughty. Should that be unredacted?
Whoever is implicated in that should be prosecuted. I agree with that.
Okay, great, but they're not doing that. The name is redacted. We don't know who it is. Why? If it's not a cover-up, why is the name redacted?
Who do you think in the Epstein files? Who do you think we should prosecute?
Oh no, I'm asking about this in particular. This name that's redacted, right? Because we don't know who it is. I can't give you an answer in terms of this specific email. So should that be redacted? Is Donald Trump wrong for redacting it?
The question about the redactions or not redacting
Can you talk
names,
about this specific email?
Well, I could talk about the specific email. The question is, is there sufficient evidence of a crime, and have there been investigations?
Do you think that's sufficient evidence of a crime?
Not necessarily, because there are a lot of false claims.
Really?
You mentioned that Trump is all over the files.
An email to Epstein's personal email saying your littlest girl was a little naughty. You don't think that's evidence of a crime?
It certainly could be evidence of a crime.
Do we think that's evidence of a crime? Does anybody disagree? Okay, good. We have some people agreeing. How about Republicans? I see a MAGA hat there. Do you guys think that's evidence of a crime?
Harry,
No? Come on, guys. That's a bad position to take.
Let's try to bring it to a tangible question.
Sure.
You said Trump's all over the Epstein files. What are the charges? What are the claims? Do you think he should be prosecuted?
I mean, if we don't have all the files, so maybe there is something in there that implicates Donald Trump. Well, what we know, I think, the behavior is morally abhorrent.
When you're talking about something like the Epstein case, this isn't just another political scandal. This is about a documented trafficking network involving minors, and federal prosecutors have already confirmed that Epstein wasn't operating alone. In fact, during his 2019 arrest, the DOJ explicitly stated they were continuing to investigate co-conspirators. So the idea that there are other people involved isn't speculation, that's straight from the government. And here's where Harry's side has a stronger point. When you have evidence that suggests potential crimes involving minors, even if it's not fully proven yet, that should trigger more transparency and deeper investigation, not less. Historically, major abuse scandals, from the Catholic Church to USA Gymnastics, only fully came to light because people kept pushing for names, documents, and accountability. Even when institutions were hesitant, there's also a legal reality with redactions that people don't always talk about. Sure, some redactions are meant to protect victims or avoid defamation, but they can also delay accountability if they hide identities tied to ongoing or unprosecuted cases. And we've seen situations before where names were withheld for years and only revealed later once public pressure got too big. And on the is it evidence of a crime question, courts don't require absolute certainty to investigate. They require probable cause, suspicious communications, patterns of behavior, and corroborating testimony are often enough to justify digging deeper. That's literally how a lot of major criminal cases start. So yeah, comparing this to past scandals kind of misses the point. This isn't about ranking which scandal is worse. It's about whether powerful people are being fully investigated and held accountable when there are serious red flags. And history shows that without pressure, that doesn't always happen on its own.
And it's not just information that's contained in the Epstein files. We got a Wall Street Journal article that was published December 30th of 2025 that talked about how Donald Trump in the 1990s and early 2000s would send young girls to Epstein's house to give him massages. That is only a perk that was given to members of Mar-a-Lago. Epstein was not a member of Mar-a-Lago. He specifically made an exception for Epstein to get massages at his house, and everybody in the spa knew that Epstein was creepy. Donald Trump continued to send them.
I'll reiterate my question that you ignored.
Wait, I'm not done yet. Marla Maples, Donald Trump's wife at the time, even confided in Donald Trump, said that Epstein is creepy, you shouldn't hang out with him. He continued to do it.
Will you answer my question, though? Is there any evidence of a crime that Donald Trump committed that you alluded to that you think he should be prosecuted for?
Well, I mean...
Well, you mean what? I'll let you answer if you want to.
Perfect. In the Epstein files we have so far, because there are still millions out there, I don't think there's enough evidence to prosecute Donald Trump. However, when you're looking at Donald Trump, if he had knowledge that he was sending young girls to Epstein's house to be abused, do you think he should be prosecuted?
That's a big if. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride.
We have dozens.
A Wall Street Journal op-ed.
We have dozens.
Wow, really interesting.
Not an op-ed. It was fact-checked by the entire Wall Street Journal department fact-check. Do you think that if Donald Trump was found, and we have all these Mar-a-Lago employees saying that this happened...
Well, this is what I'm asking you. What is the evidence of a crime that he committed?
So
Give me the evidence.
Okay, so that Wall Street Journal article. If Donald Trump
What is the specific crime?
He knew that Epstein was creepy, and he was actively sending girls...
Knowing someone's creepy is not a crime. What is the crime?
Wait. So
hold on. If he's sending young...
Trust me, there would be a lot of prosecutions if we could go after everyone we think is creepy.
Wait. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
If he's sending young girls, you said in this article, sending young girls to
Jeffrey Epstein. What is the circumstance? How old
is that not facilitating sex trafficking?
It's all based on hypotheticals, the details of which neither of you are providing.
It's not hypothetical. Everybody in the spa.
When did it happen?
Wait, it doesn't. If they're 18 and getting abused, it's still a crime, right? So it doesn't. Like they could. The age is.
What do we mean by abuse?
Assaulted.
What do we mean by assault?
Virginia Giuffre was picked up from Mar-a-Lago and assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein.
What claims did Virginia Giuffre make?
I mean, it was awful. I mean, it was rape. It was everything.
Yeah. Well, against whom? Against whom?
Against Jeffrey Epstein.
Against Jeffrey Epstein?
And Ghislaine Maxwell. And Prince Andrew.
And who else?
I mean, I don't know. Who else?
There was the biggest case involving Virginia Giuffre involved Alan Dershowitz. That's one of the biggest guys.
Throw him in jail.
Right. Now, here's one of the problems for this, and it's one of the problems for all the claims you guys are making.
Sure.
She retracted that claim. In the case of the allegations about Donald Trump, there's a case in which they say that a 13-year-old girl decades ago was raped by Donald Trump. So you say, well, we should look into that if that really happened, shouldn't we? And then when we look a little deeper, we find, actually, this has been adjudicated. There was not only one court case, there were multiple multiple court cases.
They
one in
withdrew
California,
voluntarily.
one second. One in California where it was dismissed by a judge. 2 other times she brought it up, represented by Lisa Bloom, and both times she retracted her lawsuit.
You're not arguing against what I'm saying. I'm bringing up the specific...
I think I am. I'm saying these are unsubstantiated claims, and you say, well, I've got the Wall Street Journal making vague allegations.
We have the Wall Street Journal
That's
talking...
not sufficient legal predicate, Harry.
Talking to multiple Mar-a-Lago employees, not just random people.
Okay, but we can't name any crimes. Very interesting.
I think that's a crime.
What is the crime? I just asked you. Can you name
okay, great.
You just said you wouldn't prosecute Donald Trump.
Facilitating sex trafficking.
You just said you wouldn't prosecute
Facilitating sex trafficking.
Okay, on what occasion and what circumstance?
I just told you, in the 1990s and the early 2000s, Epstein was actively having young girls come to his house from Mar-a-Lago Spa. They were a variety of ages.
Give me some numbers.
There were a variety of ages.
Okay, if you know the ages, what are the ages?
They were a variety. There were some kids. Virginia Giuffre was a kid when she worked at the Mar-a-Lago Spa.
Virginia
but
Giuffre,
she did not
retracted her claims. That's the point that I'm making.
Do you think that Virginia Giuffre lied about the assaults from Epstein?
Now, in real investigations, especially ones involving trafficking or abuse, it almost never starts with a clean courtroom-ready charge. It starts with patterns, witness accounts, financial records, and relationships that raise serious red flags. That's literally how the Epstein case itself came back in 2019. Journalists and investigators connected dots that had been ignored for years. And there's something important here. Epstein's network didn't exist in isolation. Federal prosecutors again have already said he had associates and enablers. In past trafficking cases, people have been charged not just for direct abuse, but for facilitating access. Things like arranging meetings, providing locations, or knowingly enabling contact. So the standard isn't just, did someone commit the act? It can also be, did someone help make it possible? There's also the credibility piece. Investigative reporting, especially from major outlets, usually goes through layers of sourcing and verification before publication. That doesn't automatically prove a crime, but it does mean the claims are serious enough to warrant further scrutiny. And historically, a lot of major scandals, from Harvey Weinstein to the Catholic Church, started with reporting that was initially dismissed as unproven until more evidence came out. And the legal argument about dismissed or retracted cases isn't as clean as it sounds either. Cases get dropped for a lot of reasons: lack of resources, intimidation, settlements, or fear of public exposure. Not just because something didn't happen. That's been documented in multiple high-profile abuse cases over the years. So yeah, focusing only on what exact charge can you name right now kind of misses the bigger picture. The real question is whether there are enough credible signals to justify deeper investigation. And in situations involving powerful people and serious allegations, history shows that if you stop at not proven yet, a lot of truth never actually comes out.